Hey guys, Grant with Nick's Handmade Boots here. Today we're going to be answering the question, how long should boots last? Probably the number one question customers ask when they're converting from a mass-produced boot to a handmade boot is, how long do your boots last? Today we'll be talking about some of the factors that you have to consider when we answer that question. So a lot of people will say, gosh, for the price point, your boots must have a lifetime warranty. Well, the first thing we're quick to mention is these boots are made out of material. This is rubber, this is leather. Like any material, they're going to wear out eventually. A good way to think about this is like car tires. Car tire companies have good, better, best brands. Even if you're buying the best, most expensive tires, the tire company's not promising that they're gonna be lifetime tires. They're gonna communicate to you that there's an expected use for the tires under normal driving situations. However, you'll probably get the best results from the best tires if you're paying a premium. Likewise, boot soles are no different than car tires. The better the material, the longer they should wear. So Nick's is diligent about working with our suppliers every year. We're continuously asking them, what are the toughest, most long-lasting soles? And those are the soles that we offer. One of the differentiators in a handmade boot, like a Nick's boot, is the expectation is we want you to have the best materials that wear the longest. When those materials wear out, they're replaceable. They can be resold, they can be rebuilt. Unlike the mass-produced market, their goal is to get you into a pair of boots that's not really serviceable, that wears out in 6 to 8 months, and you need to buy a whole new pair every year. Beyond soles, there's other components of the boot that make our boots last longer. Just consider the leather. This is full grain 7 to 8 ounce leather. This boot here is probably 2.5 to 3 ounces at best. When we look at the overall construction or stitching, you're gonna see 4 rows of stitching from the upper to the lower. You're just gonna see that our boots have a lot of stitching. So even if this first row of stitching fails through abrasion, you've got 3 more rows. Where in a boot like this, that may not be the case. Nick's are also made out of mostly natural materials. You're standing on a veg tan insole. These materials are designed to break in versus really breaking down. A lot of synthetic materials, like these really soft insoles that you find in mass-produced boots, they're really designed to kind of break down and lose their form, and over time become more uncomfortable. These materials include a lot of cloth liners, a lot of foam material. Those materials are really designed to fail quickly, and your foot starts to feel it. They feel good out of the box as you wear them 4 to 6 months. Your feet start to hurt, and you're really just taking all those materials and you're compressing them, and you're really taking the density out of them. And by that time you might be thinking, gosh, I need another pair of boots. In a Nick's boot, you're standing on an all veg tan leather insole. It's not uncommon for people to say that our boots are a little bit uncomfortable to begin with, but it's very common to people say that they hit the sweet spot of comfort, 6 months in. And that's because the insole is continuously molding to your foot, and it's really just filling all of the voids and supporting your foot like an insole should. So how long should these soles last? Well, there's a number of factors to consider. A few of them are, how much do you weigh? How do you walk? And what conditions are you in? For example, somebody that weighs 250 to 300 pounds but is in softer soils or sand, for example, they may get a few years out of their sole. Somebody that weighs 150 pounds but is on an abraded concrete floor is virtually just going to be sanding their sole all day long. So somebody that's lighter weight standing in abrasive environments may wear their sole out versus somebody that's heavier who's wearing their boots in softer terrain. Even so, no matter how much you weigh or whatever environment you're in, most people find that our soles last about twice as long as mass-produced boots. So with that said, what are the normal signs of sole wear? We get a lot of inquiries for customers that are in their boots maybe for the first 2 to 3 months, and they're a little bit concerned because they see some outside heel cap wear. That's perfectly normal. As you're walking, you're normally pushing on the outside of your heel and then putting your weight onto the inside of the ball of the foot. So it's not uncommon to see some wear here pretty quickly on your boots. That's normal. Similar to some outside heel wear, you'll probably start to notice some inside wear on the ball of the foot. Again, that's because you're striking on the outside of your heel and rolling to the inside of the ball for most people. It's not the case for everybody, but that's pretty common. So how do you know when it's actually time to have your boots serviced? Well, it's pretty simple. A couple indicators we're looking for is, are you starting to see some of the washers from the nails on your heel cap? You'll start seeing this or hearing this scrape on the ground. You'll also start seeing you're wearing into the screws here, and you'll pretty much start seeing this rubber going all the way into the leather midsole. If you're wearing all the way through the rubber and into the leather midsole, you've gone too far. You want to get your resole done before you get into the leather midsole. Another indicator is, let your body tell you when a resole is needed. If you start to feel uneven wear, or the gait or the way you walk starts getting a little bit uncomfortable, it's probably time to take a look and inspect your soles and your heels. That may be the indicator of it's time to get a resole. So the first thing to go, or the first thing needing replacing, is usually that heel cap. The good news is most local shoe repair shops or cobbler shops can peel that cap off and put a new one on for usually 30 bucks. Sometimes they can pull the entire heel stack off as well. It may cost you a little more money. But for many people, your caps need to be replaced before your entire outsole needs to be replaced. And that can be done locally. You save money on shipping. It doesn't have to come all the way back to Nick's just for some fairly minor repair. It's also a lot faster that way. If we have long lead times around fire season, a local shoe repair shop can have your caps replaced usually in about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on their workload. So if you find that not just your heel caps are worn, but your rubber outsole is also worn, meaning the tread is pretty much done, that's when it's time to get a resole. And you're normally gonna know that because you're losing traction, you might be slipping around a little bit. Don't expect this sole to have the same amount of traction and tread and grip when you pretty much have worn off the lugs. This example is a lug sole boot, or the V100, but if you're looking for all of our sole options, pros and cons to each, go ahead and check out our video where we go through all of the boot options. We'll recommend that video for you up here. There are still some mass-produced shoes out there and boots that can be resoled. Here at Nick's, we take it even a step further. Not only can we resole your boots, but we can also rebuild your boots. A rebuild is really where we're removing the entire lower portion of the boot. That includes the vamp, the external heel counter, the midsole, outsole, and you're really just left with your well broken in upper. This allows you to get your boots refreshed, so to speak, and not pay the full price of a brand new pair. And plus, your upper is already molded to your ankle bones, and a lot of your break-in is actually in the upper of the boot. So you don't have to go through the break-in again on the upper portion. It's time for a rebuild if your vamp or your heel have experienced significant damage or even breakage. It's not uncommon for these boots, after thousands and thousands of flexes, to begin to crack here, even though this is 7 to 8 ounces. Again, sometimes that's hidden. Sometimes the insole of the boot inside from sweat and moisture becomes cracked. The boot might look good on the outside, but on the inside, it's cracked and deteriorating. All leather is destined to fail eventually. If you see cracking or checking, you're taking on water, you're taking on ash, it's time for a rebuild. So these materials are going to deteriorate over time. So how do we prolong the inevitable? When it comes to soles, be mindful of how you walk. If you're dragging your feet, you're gonna wear your soles out faster. Be mindful of the terrain or the conditions you're working in. If you're in a shop that has that slip-resistant grit paper on the floor, expect your soles to pretty much just get sanded off pretty quickly. When it comes to a rebuild, again, the actual leather, Boot care is really the #1 thing that you can do to prevent that. Make sure you're cleaning your boots, making sure you're conditioning your boots with a good preservative. Boot care is the best thing you can do to prolong the rebuild. Many of our customers end up buying 2 pairs of boots. Alternating your footwear is a great way to prolong your soles and also your leather and your insoles. Rotating pairs of boots gives these organic materials some time to rest. Again, your insoles, that veg tan leather that you're standing on, it needs a break. It needs to air out, it needs to dry from moisture. Having a second pair of boots in the rotation is not a bad option. This is especially critical if you're in wet, humid environments or if your feet just sweat a lot. If you don't already have a Nix care kit, shame on you. Boot care is the most important thing you can do to prolong these materials. We're gonna put a link to our care kit down below in the description. Get yourself a care kit now and start treating your boots with some respect. So if you're tired of boots that are designed to fail after 6 to 8 months that are made out of synthetic material, it's time to make the switch to Nix. Get yourself the best built boot out on the market. You won't regret it. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll catch you on the next one.